Listen here, son. Let me tell you something. There's this kid named Jacob, 32 years old, freelancer, does design work or something like that. He makes his coffee, sits down at his desk. But now pay attention. He's not checking emails, not touching his phone. He sets a timer, 90 minutes, and dives straight into his hardest work. Sounds a bit crazy, doesn't it? But here's the thing. Our brains already work in 90-minute cycles. They call it the ultradian rhythm. During that time, the brain is at its sharpest, most creative. Chess masters, Olympic athletes, they all figured this out long ago. So instead of grinding away for 6 hours and burning himself out, Jacob works for 90 minutes, then rests for 15. By noon, he's done a full day's worth of work. And the brain? No complaints. Then you know what he does? He gets up, steps outside, walks for 20 minutes. No headphones, nothing, just walking. When you walk, the brain shifts into a kind of idle mode. And that's exactly when creative thinking starts to bloom. On top of that, more oxygen reaches the blood, stress hormones drop. Now, if anyone tells you walking is for lazy people, let me say this. Steve Jobs held his meetings while walking. Beethoven walked every single day. Movement, son, is the fuel of the mind. He's careful about lunch too, this kid. No heavy, greasy stuff. He eats salmon, some blueberries, a little dark chocolate. Chocolate, you'll say? Yes, chocolate. It increases blood flow to the brain. But the more important thing is this. He doesn't look at his phone while eating. Because if you're staring at a screen while you eat, digestion suffers, stress hormones spike, and you can't even remember what you had. He respects the meal, and the brain gets what it needs. Around mid-afternoon, he does something most people just can't manage. He puts the phone down, closes social media, silences every notification. Now you know as well as I do, every ping, every like, gives the brain a little hit of pleasure. But that pleasure becomes a habit. A brain constantly chasing that feeling forgets how to think deeply, forgets how to be patient. Jacob cuts out that noise, and in the silence, real thinking begins. Around 5 in the evening, he's not sprawled on the couch watching Netflix either. He reads something, not a self-help book, just something he's genuinely curious about. Curiosity, son, is the medicine that keeps the brain young. When you're curious, you learn better, you remember better. The day you stop being curious is the day you start getting old. At 6:30, he takes a cold shower. Cold, you'll ask? Yes, cold. Uncomfortable, sure. But that cold activates something in the brain called norepinephrine. Attention sharpens, mood lifts. And not a single side effect. It also builds resilience. A person gets used to difficulty. By 10 in the evening, Jacob is winding down. No screens, no scrolling, just a book, dim lights, maybe a little journaling. Because sleep, son, is not just rest. While you sleep, the brain clears out toxins, locks in memories, builds new connections. Skip good sleep, and everything you built up during the day starts to crumble. Jacob treats it like sacred time. 7 to 9 hours, no compromise. Your brain actually grows while you sleep. Miss it, and you miss the upgrade. And then, around 7 in the evening, before all that winding down, Jacob isn't charging into the gym like a madman. He stretches a little, does some light yoga, maybe a slow bike ride with some jazz in his ears. No grunting, no pushing for records. Because light movement boosts something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which works like fertilizer for your brain cells. It clears the mental fog, lowers stress hormones, and gets the mind ready for reflection. People think only brutal workouts count, but slow, intentional movement often does more for the brain without draining the body. Jacob isn't chasing a six-pack, He's chasing mental clarity. And this sun delivers it every single time. Now look, I didn't tell you all this to overwhelm you. I told you because I've seen what happens to people who ignore these things. The mind is like a garden. You tend to it, it flourishes. You neglect it, it goes to ruin. Jacob figured this out at 32. Some people never figure it out at all. Start small. Pick one of these habits, just one, and be consistent. That's the whole secret, son. Consistency, not perfection.